Hello, family. Oh, I think I'm gonna need more than this. What's going on? I'm coming to y'all. It ain't too late, is it? Yeah, it ain't too bad out there. Give y'all a second to come on in. Come on in. And to those that are already in here, peace and love to you. Peace and love to you. We gonna talk about some things. Some things. All right, peace. What's going on? How's my picture and how's my sound to the family? Yeah, I'm looking good. I'm sounding good. You better make that blue, honey. You better make it. Okay, okay. Sounds good, looks good. Okay. Listen, welcome to another live. I'm KT the Arch Degree, and I'm here to wish everybody a happy Umoja. That's right, it is Umoja. It is the first day of Kwanzaa, baby. And what does Umoja mean? Umoja means unity. Unity, coming together, bringing it together. And in honor of unity, what I experienced in regards to that today was I was able to check out um, two different worlds coming together. And the two different worlds that came together was Joe Budden podcast, and they finally brought on Umar Johnson. Now he hasn't been on there before. I think he's called in before. He's always been referenced. He's one of the biggest memes on the planet. And big shout out to Umar Johnson, big shout out to Joe Budden and that whole crew. That was a phenomenal interview. And I want to know, did anybody check that out yet? Am I the only one that saw it? I need to know. Uh anybody? Nah, not yet, huh? Nah, it was dope. It was dope. It was great, great. It was two parts. Each part was 2.5 hours, yo. He was on there for 5 hours going in. Um, Great topics, great back and forths. And we got to understand that, okay, so we in the community, and the issue in the community is everybody know everything. Everybody know everything. So it's like you say something, it's like, oh yeah, 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 I know that. Or yeah, so and so talk about that. Oh yeah, I heard something like that. Oh yeah, I had that I got two of those. I know, yeah, I know exactly what you talk about. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh man, I was reading about I got three. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm about to do that next week. Oh, you just on that? Oh yeah, man. Like everybody know everything. So it's like in a community where everybody know everything, where's there room to learn? And everybody else is alienated, right? Because it's like, we're all cliquish, we all in our own little world. So it's very interesting when you find these overlaps and these crossovers take place, because then the narrative is able to reach more people. And remember, the whole concept of what is done here is not to sound fly, it's not to be fresh, it's not to be the first one out the gate to say something interesting. It's so that the next generation, the Utenham, right, are able to come up, and have a better situation than we had, or we have a solid foundation. And that only happens when they know what's going on. And you would think with all the knowledge that's pumped out that people would know what's going on. But no, it's so much knowledge, it's such a deluge that you don't know what's authentic, what's real from what's fake. I mean, you know something going on, but you don't know really what it is. And then, you have the risk of just sounding like the ornery old man. And when that happens, you totally tuned out. So, it was entertaining. It was hilarious. It was thought provoking. It was just dope. Umar's recall is crazy. His energy is crazy, his intensity, all that, unapologetic. Like he came with guns blazing and swords drawn. And there was also some real good commentary amongst the podcast too, amongst Joe Budden's crew. You know what I'm saying? Melissa Ford had some great points. Joe Budden had some great points. Imani had some great points. Ish has some great points. Everybody has some good points. And he also was cracking the whip on a lot of folks too. It was so dope. You know what I'm saying? So, if y'all ain't seen it, y'all gotta check. I mean, y'all are gonna see all the clips and the memes. They about to chop this thing up. This about to be the talk of the new year in terms of the clips and the stuff Umar talking about. A lot of people gonna be feeling away, but I don't care. I'm like, the information was solid. He was talking about some real stuff. Yeah, listen, it was real deal, man. So, that's how I got to experience Umoja today. The unity of, Umar Johnson and, everything that Umar Johnson stands for and the community in regards to Joe Budden and representing just kind of culture, mainstream, hip hop, um, that it was just good. I enjoyed that, you know. So, today I just wanted to touch on I'm not gonna be on here long too. This ain't gonna be a long one, yo. I just know, it's been over a week since I did live. I don't got no slides or nothing. I just came to talk to y'all, drop some information on fluoride, little chemistry, and float up out of here. Um and I'll be back. I'll be back with some more. But I want to give y'all a little something. Plus, I know everybody with their families who knows what y'all doing right now. People talk about Christmas, but they still celebrating it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some of y'all celebrating Hanukkah. We're talking about. But I wanted to know, how many of y'all is still using fluoride? You know what I'm saying? Because when you deal with at least especially in the dental category, all the toothpastes are saturated with it. You know that, all the fluoride toothpaste. And interestingly enough, here in the states, based on the community you live in, you'll find stores that have fluoride free. But if you go in impoverished communities, you go into the ghetto, you go to other countries and islands, you're gonna find nothing but fluoride toothpaste containing fluoride. Even to this day, it's crazy. And the reason why they sell the fluoride to everybody is because their narrative is, oh yeah, fluoride is known to um create more bone mass, you know what I mean, and bring density to the bone, and in doing that is able to do it to the teeth as well. And it's like, yes and no. Y'all ain't telling the whole truth. You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk about fluoride today. It's not just in the toothpaste, it's in the water, and it's also in the air, because if you're living near any type of industrial plant, manufacturing plant that's spewing out some type of exhaust, there's definitely a lot of carbons, fluorocarbons, and other fluoride, fluorine-based chemicals that are going to be in that exhaust, that is being pumped into the atmosphere. And what ends up happening is it's going to combine with moisture, it's going to settle, and it's going to rain down. So you're going to get it in a liquid form. You're going to also get it in a salt form that's going to fall on you, fall on your car, fall on your grass, and fall on the produce. So, lately I've been doing a lot of posts on IG, and I recently went to a Whole Foods with Brother Rich. Big shout out to Brother Rich. Black Magic 363, and we did kind of a walkthrough in Whole Foods and talking about a lot of different produce, and one of the produce I ended up talking about was tamarind and its effect on the pineal gland. But I also talked about organic, and it's interesting the comments. So I'm gonna be coming back doing another Q&A based on comments and questions that are put in a lot of these posts, so I can answer them. But I also want to, I'm going to address a few of them here. So with organic, um, it's funny, you put this information out here. This is what I talked about, the unity thing with Joe Budden and Umar. I wanted to start with that because it kind of like it's foundation of my point that I want to get across. And it's like everybody knows everything. So it's like when you put the information out there, and if you know it, obviously it's not for you. It's not for you. Or maybe I worded it in a way that makes it better for you to communicate it to someone you was trying to give to. But if you already know it, there's nothing for you to comment on. So, the people come in there and they got these other things to say. So, I'm talking about organic and the difference between organic and conventional. They like, people still selling organic. Organic is trash too. Grow your own. And it's like, bet, good. But everybody's not in that situation. You know what I mean? And some people are just learning. It's like, it don't matter what you make, even if you growing your own and you in the city, bro, like I just said, you got chemtrails, you got plants, manufacturing plant, you got all this exhaust, all of these poisons settling on your food that you growing. You think your food is just this Virgin Mary, uh, immaculate conception old fruit? Like, no, it ain't that. It's still gonna have some levels of contamination in there because you still living in Babylon. Like, you ain't out in the outskirts. You're not away. You're not in an area where you are devoid of everything. So I'm not going that hard in everything that I say because some people are not in a position to make that transition yet. So you got to meet them where they at. And that is the issue with the communication, is we don't want to meet people where they at. We like being holier than thou. We like being way up on this mountaintop looking down at these peasants and these ignorant imbeciles. How dare you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Kiss my feet right now. I have the knowledge and the power of 17 trillion years of my ancestors and the divine wormholes of consciousness. It's like, come on. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta kind of like temper ourselves a little bit and be able to communicate. And the way that I know this is true is because when you're smartest person in the multiverse was a child, right? And you was eating frosted flakes, you know what I mean, and probably sniffing your cat's butt or something like that, right? Lord knows what you was doing when you was by yourself in the house. Your grandparents, right, would tell you stories, and these stories were allegories of mythology, mythos, to convey to you high science and powerful scientific concepts, but it wasn't told in the methodology of quantum mechanics and biophysics and all of that. It was told in allegorical form. It was told as a story. You see what I'm saying? A story, as a tale, as a folklore, as a fable, right? Sat you on the lap, or maybe y'all was on a park bench, you know what I mean, or on the park or whatever. But grandma, grandpa, uncle, auntie, they told you stories. And in these stories, you would remember them. And as you got older, the stories would start to unfold, and it was as if they handed you this tightly folded cloth, that when you saw it, all you saw was this folded cloth with a circle on it. And then as you get older, you realize it's folded, so you unfold it once, and now it's not just a circle, it's like an oval. Then you unfold it again. And then, oh man, look at this. Now I got a whole nother geometric shape. And every year, every 5 years until you like 30, you unfolding this. And then all of a sudden you open it up and it's like a tesseract or something like that. So, you know, that's how you learned. And it got you to the point where you're able to say, oh no, organic is, but you didn't start off that way. So we have to like understand that a lot of people that are listening, that are stopping, because you only got people's attention for a femtosecond, a picosecond, yo. Like people's attentions is shot right now. So when they do decide to stop at you and not a cat meme or twerking meme or somebody getting the crap beat out of them, you know what I'm saying? Um, some gossip or something like that. When they stop there to get educated, like don't belittle them. Don't make them feel less than because they might be learning this for the first time. And in the simple means, as simple as I could put it, because you know I'm always making these complex myself. In the most simplest way that it can be put, that's enough for them to grasp it. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to sound fly and saucy and all of that. You know what I'm saying? We are here to communicate a message so that we can help people do better with themselves and their family and the community. All right. So, of course, I know that organic isn't perfect. Were you or our people, was there indigenous or melanated people on the board who was able to provide phenotypical and genetic explanations on what foods are best for us and the best growing practices that need to take place in the environment, what chemicals are a no-no, what natural properties need to be added to enrich the soil, what time it needs to be. Were we part of those discussions? No, we were not. So obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even with growing on your own, where did you get the seeds from? Did you order them online? Did you go to the place, you know what I mean, where they packing them seeds up? Do you know the fruit or the plant where the seed was from, what condition that was in, and what that was grown from? Or no, you pulled the seed from a vegetable you had. Well, where you get that vegetable from? You know what I'm saying? So it's like we could take it there. We could get real petty. You know what I'm saying? We get picky and tit for tat, and you wrong and I'm right and you wrong. Or we could just shut the fuck up and help each other. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the point. The point is to meet people where they at. And if you know, then just move on to something else that will teach you something, that will give you the information you need to take you to that super astronomical place where you feel you are, you know? But at that point in time, I was discussing the relationship between organic and conventional, you know, and the reason why it would be best to go the organic route. And I said it in the whole, and this is another thing, context. People see clips and then they comment off the clip when they know it's a clip, meaning like it's a piece of a whole. You are not able to give me a book report over a 360-page book based on one page. You're not going to be able to do that. All right. Oh man, I read this page in this book and they was tripping. And you don't know the entire context of the book. So, did you watch the entirety of the video that's on Black Magic, in which I clearly said prior to that 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 organic is not perfect either? Okay, because it glyphosate, right, is not considered like a pesticide. It's not considered GMO. So even when you see non-GMO on a lot of these products in the supermarket, that doesn't mean it's not been contaminated by glyphosate. All right, I said that. But, you know, you're not watching the whole thing, looking at the clip, you think you got something extra to say. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, then people are like, oh man, what do I eat then? What can I eat? You know what I'm saying? And then they just be like, yo, I'm just gonna keep going to the Chinese restaurant and getting pork fried rice. Cause it's like, what's the difference here? You know? So let's keep it moving. So I also speak on, you know, okay, so the soil's great and they're not spraying pesticides, right? Oh, so you got this holier than thou produce now. No, you don't, because how is produce produced by photosynthesis, right? Plants, sun, right? But what's the other element involved besides the soil and the sunlight? That is what? Water. And we know good and well that water is not created equal. You know what I'm saying? We got H2O, hydrogen, right? Two of them, one oxygen. Okay. But even when we deal with the atoms that make up the molecule that we know as oxygen, we have isotopes of hydrogen. We have protium, we have deuterium, we have tritium. So anywhere that protium exists, deuterium and tritium can exist and get switched out. And in our situation, what causes a lot of health issues in our community is the processed food where and the medications where the hydrogens in these molecular compounds, the proteins, are replaced with deuterium, which are twice the mass and twice the weight. So the body still uses it, but as it's being processed and as it's being metabolized as something twice the weight. If you're running a race, okay, and your clothing is twice the weight that it normally is, huh? We take it one step further. Say you're twice the weight you normally are. Okay? You 150 pounds at the get mark. At the get set, something starts happening to you. Then when the gun pop, pow, go, you 300 pounds. Do you really think you about to run at the same speed as you would have at your previous weight? Do you think you're going to win that race against the other people racing? No, you're not. So what do you think happens in your body when these hydrogen proteins are changed over to deuterium chemically in um um in all of these processed foods? And when you're dealing with organic foods, especially out here in California, which is that's the worst organic foods you could get, there when they water all of these foods, what are they watering with? H2O. But do you know what type of hydrogen? Is it heavy water? Yeah, they using deuterium water. So now the food is pulling in the plants or absorbing the heavy water, is absorbing the deuterium. Now that is getting used to stitch and create and carve out and form this food. So when you get the food, you have this deuterium saturated produce, right? And then also the glyphosate thing. So yeah, that's an issue. That's a problem. You know? So so then we got to get into the fluoride aspect of things, right? You know? So fluoride is a ion of fluorine, 9 on the periodic table. Now, when you get into tissue salts, you know what I mean? Um you got different fluorides in the tissue salts. So fluoride does play a positive role to a degree in small amounts in salt forms that are naturally occurring in plants. Okay. But when we're talking about the fluoride that is added to the water, when we're talking about the fluoride that is added to the toothpaste, when we talk about the fluoride that is added, that falls on us from the chemtrails, that falls on us from the manufacturing and the chemical plants, those type of fluorides, it's too much. And what happens is we inhaling it, it's on us, we're consuming it all the time, and eventually it accumulates and it causes a problem. Now, one of the things that I was talking about prior to on the and in the supermarket was the fact that um one thing that we talk about in the community a lot, that the average person that walks around doesn't hear nothing about like that, is the pineal gland. You know what I'm saying? So I brought out a little big pine cone, a little pine cone. You know what I'm saying? These are to represent the pineal gland, right? So pineal gland sits right here, and I got my big homie over here. You know what I'm saying? Got my big homie right here, right here. Yeah, yeah. And we're gonna go ahead and pull his brain on out. Pull that brain out. Look at that, right? Brain in the hand. Right? We're gonna open them up. Let's open them up. Left and right hemispheres. Okay. And the pineal gland is in the back here, right? It's in the back of the brain. Well, not in the back of the brain. It's in the middle of the brain, in a cave, sitting in the cave of Brahma, right? Connected to the ventricles of the brain. These are the ventricles. These are the waters that sit inside of the brain, all right? Cerebrospinal fluid. So the pineal gland, right, is responsible for melatonin, and melatonin is what we use to go to sleep at night. It is an electron accumulator, right? So it accumulates negative charge, right, through light during the day, and it unloads it and offsets it at night when we sleep. And we use this light, as well as the magnetic fields that exist in at nighttime, because when the sun is out, it's electric dominant. That's what the sun and the light and all of that is providing: activity. It's electricity, right? So it's a lot of electricity, right? But when the sun goes down, electricity kind of takes the back seat, and is mainly magnetism, that takes over, right? And we know this because when you talk about male and female principles, we know sun is male and moon is female, right? We know electric is male. We know magnetic is female, right? Sun is male, moon is female, right? Day is male, night is female, right? So we see this playing out there. So the melatonin is produced by the pineal gland. The pineal gland, the third eye, sits in darkness, and it has a lot of calcite crystals. I have an example of a crystal right here, calcite. This is called this is a very special crystal right here that has what you call bifringent properties. All right, bifringent properties. And what bifringent properties are properties where if I put this down on, like, if I wrote out my name, if I wrote KT Archie on a piece of paper, and I put this on the paper and I look through it, it's gonna show two, right? It's gonna say KT to arch degree twice when I look through here. So it kind of splits it. And this particular crystal, also known as Icelandic spar, was used by the Moors when they were sailing a lot, and when it's cloudy and they needed to know what direction they were going and there was no sun in sight. They can put this crystal up to the sky and they would be able to see where the sun was at. and track it and know, oh, that's east west, okay, north south, boom boom boom, and know which direction to go, right? So we have these crystals inside of our pineal gland, all right? And these crystals assist us in like magnetoreception and our own GPS system. So we have a lot of calcium inside the brain. So the calcium that's inside the brain is not the reason why it gets calcified. So what is calcification of the pineal? It's the hardening. It's like what they call it, volcano, what's the volcano, uh Mount Vitruvius. Somebody tell me in the chat. I'm tripping right now. But you know the mountain, where they got people all, they're like stone now. Vesuvius, Mount Vesuvius. That's what it is. Vesuvius. I'm saying Vitruvius. Mount Vesuvius. So um that same picture of those people that are like stone, that's what calcification in the pineal is. The pineal gland becoming calcified becomes stone. And why is that a problem? Well, now you're not going to make melatonin, so, oh, I'm not going to get no sleep. No, you're not going to be able to regenerate your body. You're not going to process electrons, but most of all, you're not going to have no insight. So if I told all of y'all right now, yo, close your eyes and count to three, take a deep breath, exhale, and follow my voice. And when I say volcano, I want you to visualize a huge volcano, and I want you to visualize a big plume of smoke coming out of the volcano, erupting um, um, thousands of feet into the atmosphere. I want you to see lightning coming down from the high stratosphere down through the smoke to the volcano. And then you hear a loud crack and boom. All of a sudden, you see liquid magma and lava erupt from the volcano and spill down the side of the volcano until it hits the sea. And you hear the sizzling hiss and hiss of the water touching that heat. And as it does, it crystallizes into glass and new land is formed. And as a time lapse occurs, you start seeing the clouds moving and the waves of the oceans going, and seeds start to fall in these crevices and cracks of this new land. And now you start to see the germination of life take place, and grass and plants start to grow on this new land. And now this destructive element that you visualize now becomes a thriving, picturesque landscape of the potential of new life. Y'all following me? Did you see all that? Well, that was your pineal gland at work. You know what I'm saying? This is wonderful. And there are people that don't have the ability to do that. They are not able to see those things. They wouldn't have been able to follow. They don't have the ability to imagine. They don't dream when they go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So that's what calcified pineal does. It also keeps you out of tune and out of lock and key with the universe. So as things shift and as things change, and because the news ain't gonna tell you, movies will give you a hit. Animals, you'll start noticing changes in the animals, colors. Maybe you looking at your trees and how they're different this year than the previous couple years. Like you start noticing things, you're in tune, you feel it, you get dreams and vibes, so you know how to adjust, to make changes and to acclimate and adapt. Like you don't have none of that when it's calcified, you know. So calcification, you know what I mean, is an issue, but it's not due to calcium. It's due to fluoride. Fluoride is the activator, the stimulator, the trigger that causes the calcium crystals and what they would call, what's the other word for it? It's also called microscopic, nanoscopic, um, uh, brain sand. Brain sand, calcium crystals, right? And what it does is it causes that calcium to calcify the pineal, but the calcium isn't the cause, the fluoride is. So even if you people that want to decalcify that, because there's a lot of people that there's different levels of calcification. You want to decalcify it. You do this by removing excess fluoride out of your body. And how do you remove excess fluoride out of the body? You do that through tamarind. Tamarind is one of the greatest foods that exists on the planet that could rid the body of pineal. You find it all over in the tropics. You have a lot of them in India, and throughout all the tropical regions of the earth, you'll find tamarind. And there's sweet, there's sour, and there's different variations of the sweet and sour. I know on my home island of St. Croix, tamarind is everywhere, and during the season, yeah, you could just grab it right out the tree. You crack the shell. It kind of looks like, it helps with the colon because that's what it looks like. It looks exactly like the colon. Get colon in the mist. All right, that's the colon right there, and different ages of disease. But you see how it's all bumpy, and it turns and it curves. That's exactly how the tamarind is shaped. So, and then it could look like some bowels too, like some doo doo. that's the shape. You crack the shell. It's inside. It looks like it's almost pasty. It's like a dark brown pasty with these big very hard seeds inside, and you just eat it. And some of it is so tart, like it'll have your face looking contorted and crazy. Don't let nobody take no picture of you if you taste the tamarind for the first time. You know what I'm saying? They could blackmail you with that picture. I'm just trying to tell you, you know. And in the islands they make like a tamarind stew out of it. And oh my God, it's so good. You can eat it on its own. You can put it as a topping on things. It's just delicious, And in the Jamaicans, they make like these candies, these little ginger tamarind balls. Pause. Because I gotta say pause now all of a sudden, right? Um, and they eat those. But yeah, tamarind removes it, and it removes it through the urine, also through sweating and perspiration as well. But the more you eat tamarind, the more you're going to remove excess fluoride out of the body. You know what I mean? So if you're dealing with fluorosis, you're dealing with any type of saturation of fluoride, tamarind is going to end up doing that. So if you couple tamarind with other things that like for instance, people take blue lotus, right? And that helps with the pineal gland, right? You got things like guaco that really helps with the brain and GABA receptors and stuff like that. You take anything that deals with the pineal gland, the brain, the limbic system, and you add tamarind to it. Well, now you got factors that are going to take things straight to the brain, you know what I mean, and help that whole region. You have the reinforcing of this tamarind that's going to help to remove all the fluoride in that area. You know what I mean? So that's a gem right there. you know yeah, so let's talk some more about tamarind. All right, so one thing about tamarind, I'm tripping. Let's talk about fluoride. One thing about fluoride is that fluoride, like I said, is an ion. So fluorine is the atom, but fluoride is the ion, and an ion is an atom with a charge. You know what I'm saying? And the charge is based on the fact that an aspect of the atom has been removed or added. So if I have an atom whose electron has been taken away, well, now that the electron is taken away, it's not stable. You know what I mean? And I was looking for things, right? So with fluoride, you have a certain amount of electrons in this outer valence that has it looking for other electrons, and this is what you call like free radicals, right? Is very similar to the hydroxide atom or hydroxide ion, and hydroxide is very volatile in the body, and that's why you always see it connected to molecules, because it's essentially what gives it its alkaline disposition, is what gives it its alkaline nature, because hydrogen on its own is, is a positive charge, more of an acidic, while hydroxide is on the base side of things. That's why when you put sodium with the O, you got NaOH, right? You got sodium hydroxide. That's a base. If when you was in school, that was one of the chemistry experiments that you did. NaOH, sodium hydroxide. So it's very similar to hydroxide, which means what? That means that if hydroxide is prevalent throughout the entire body, that means fluoride will have easy access to a lot of molecular structures throughout the body where the OHs would normally be at, and can fight for it, and it's going to win. Why is it going to win? Because it's the most electronegative ion in chemistry on the periodic table. It's the most fluorine is the most electronegative atom on the whole periodic table, dog. What am I saying? I'm saying that it is the strongest scavenger, it is the most damaging element that you can find. So we use the term oxidation, right? Right? Reactive oxygen species, right? Things being oxidized, right? Dr. Sabi would be like, no iron oxide, right? Because it's gonna oxidize, it's gonna rust your body, right? It's called oxidation and it's called being oxidized, but fluorine is stronger. It forces the oxidation of things throughout the entire body. And if you want to understand what I'm saying, the reason why you put natural preservatives in things in your house for it to last longer is so it doesn't oxidize. The reason why you buy the apple and it turns brown, or you slice an avocado and it starts going bad, is because it begins to oxidize. That brown layer is created, that plant-based melanin layer is being created to slow down the oxidation. That's why you have that brown layer on the apple, but as soon as you remove that brown layer, the apple's brand new underneath it, because that brown layer is preventing the oxidation from taking over that whole fruit. Well, fluoride is the most electronegative substance. So that's going to cause a lot of problems in the cellular structure on the microscopic scale. You know what I'm saying? Now, um, yeah. So all right. So in the dental area, excess fluoride can also result in dental fluorosis. All right. And dental fluorosis, you ever see people, and somebody who's listening, it might be you, when you look in the mirror, you smile, you look at your teeth, you got kind of these discolorations on your teeth. And that's fluorosis based upon too much fluoride in your development, causing hypomineralization of the enamel. Hypo, below; low, too little mineralization, right? So your teeth are not properly developed, based on the excess of the fluoride, and that's dental fluorosis. You also got skeletal fluorosis, all right, and the skeletal fluorosis, same thing. In this situation, though, you have more bone mass, right? But just because there's more bone mass and the bones are bigger, the structure isn't sound, though. It doesn't have the proper structural element to it. So now, even though it's bigger or whatever, it's still easy to fracture, easy to break, still problems that are going to take place. And the bones, aren't just for structure purposes. You know what I'm saying? We got the skull right here, right? We got skull, huh? And where's the wig cap? Where's this cap at? We got the Capara beetle, right? It's that cap. And the bones of the body are they're not connected. Okay, it's tensegrity. You know, the bones are like this. You know what I mean? You got the bones in rest, and you got your bone in active and motion. Oh yeah, thank you. Please, yeah. Let me take a break real quick and let y'all hit that like button. Yeah, I start flowing. I just be, I be in my zone, man. I be where I be. I be where I be. So yeah, please hit the like button, subscribe, share this video, let people know I'm going live right now. I'm talking about some of this real info. You know what I'm saying? This real hip hop. King Simon in the building. What's up, King Simon? How you feeling, brother? You know what I'm saying? All right, so this is at rest. It collapses, right? But then it's dynamic. It pops back out. And you see none of these sticks are touching each other, but they're all connected by these strings. This is like the fascia that's in the body, the tendons and the ligaments, and these are the bones, right? So when you talk about epiphysis and metaphysis, which are the trabecular areas of the trabecular bone is the structural component of the tips and the ends of the bones, where the spongy bone, the spongy material is. When you look at the microscopic pictures of the bones, and they look like these caverns and everything like that, with all these little sticks and this weird shape, they're in the trabecular. That's the trabecular bone, and they're in the epiphyses and the metaphyses, which are the ends, the tips of the long bones. So when you see the femur and you see them two bumps on the top and two bumps on the bottom, that's where the trabecular bone is at, and that trabecular bone gets affected by excess of fluoride. All right. Now, when we're talking about osteoporosis, you know, osteoporosis, can is definitely caused by an excess of fluoride, but it's also caused by a lack of copper, because copper plays the role as what you would call a PN junction of superconduction. I mean, not superconduction, semiconduction. So semiconduction is exactly how it sounds. It's in between conduction and something else. What's the something else? Insulators. All right. So we have a wire, right? We got a nerve. Right. This is what a nerve looks like right there, right? Got a dope nerve model. Look at that thing. That thing is awesome, right? This is the body of the nerve, where the nucleus is at. Most of the organelles are concentrated. These are the dendrites, the receiving end. This is the axon, that sends the signal. And these yellow things are myelin sheaves. The myelin sheaves are insulators, and inside is the nerve, right? So this is like insulation, and this is like a wire. This is like insulation, and this is a wire. A wire is able to what? Allow currency to flow easily, while an insulator inhibits that flow, and a semiconductor is in between the two. So it's kind of like an electrical valve that's able to either be a resistor, a diode, a portal that allows either electricity to just flow freely at a certain speed, or stop, pause, go in pulses, go in spurts. And in doing this, you can make a lot happen. It's similar to how water flows. If water's just gushing out somewhere, it could just flood an area. But if you have a faucet, if you have a valve, if you have a pump, if you have streams and things dug out, now you can create a situation where you can irrigate water and create a whole water system in a community to provide water for crops and waters in a home and things of that nature, right? So semiconduction is like that for electricity and for current. So your bones are semiconductors, because they're made out of collagen, and they're made out of hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite is a crystalline structure. Collagen is the carbon structure, right? And they are both dope. They are both saturated with particular elements, and together, they're glued together by copper, and copper allows the flow of current between these two things. So we think we get energy from food and energy from all this other stuff. We also get energy from bone, from the pressure of bone, from the piezoelectric effect and the motion that we endure day to day. We create our own energy just in that. That's why they say, sitting down all day is the new cigarette. It's the new heart condition, because we're built and we're made for dynamic movement. But what fluoride does is fluoride affects the osteoclast and the osteoblast. And what is osteoclast and osteoblast? Osteoclast and osteoblast are the two cells responsible for bone building or bone dissolving. Osteoblast makes new bone. How do you remember that? Because the word blast is a suffix that is utilized in science. When you think of fibroblast, anytime you hear blast, it's like a cell, a new cell, a young cell, something being made. So when you say osteoblast, that's a bone cell that is making new bone. It is taking the different elements, calcium, phosphate, and all these other minerals, they putting them together and they depositing it, right, with the collagen and the hydroxyapatite in order to create more bone, while the osteoclast is doing the opposite, is using enzymes to dissolve all that so that calcium ions can be free, and those free ions can be utilized, such as in the blood, to buffer the blood to keep it alkaline, because calcium ions are an alkaline buffer. They make things more alkaline when it's in an acidic environment, right? Another thing that fluoride affects is calcium directly, because in the mitochondria you have these transport proteins in this membrane called calcium uniporters. This is how calcium influx occurs inside of the mitochondria. Why do you need calcium inside of the mitochondria? It controls the shape, it controls the size, and in controlling the shape and the size and the dynamics of the mitochondria, that means calcium then dictates the energy flow dynamics of the cell in its entirety, and fluoride shuts that shit down. So if it's shutting down the uniporters, then it's shutting down the mitochondria. Now you're shutting down energy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, fluoride can act on osteoblasts and osteoclasts. Sodium fluoride, which is mainly found in a lot of the toothpastes, right, is an anabolic agent. Anabolic is building up, catabolic is breaking down. So anabolic, you build a building, catabolic is you demolish a building. Why do you need to build a building and demolish a building in the body? Well, catabolic process would be something as simple as in digestion, right? You need to break that protein down into amino acids so that those amino acids can then be absorbed in the bloodstream and reconstituted into more structures in the body that's needed. Same thing with sugar, right? Glycolysis, the breaking down of sugars into its inconstituent parts and reutilize. That's catabolic processes. Anabolic processes is you building hemoglobin. You know what I mean? You creating things in your body that you need. Osteoblasts, mineralizing bone resorption, that is a anabolic process. Even with working out and people wanting hypertrophy and growing muscle, that's anabolic. All right. So fluoride can act on osteoclasts and osteoblasts, right? Sodium fluoride is an anabolic agent capable of increasing bone mass, right? But while sodium fluoride may increase bone mass, the newly formed bone appears to lack normal structure and strength, right? So it's quantity over quality. We don't want that in the body. Okay. You got all these billions of sperm, but they all stupid. They all walking around like dirt, 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 dirt. Where's the fallopian tube? Excuse me. Which way do I go, George? Which way do I go? You don't want that fertilizer in that egg, dog. Okay. So in trabecular bone, fluoride results in an increase in bone volume and trabecular thickness without a concomitant increase in trabecular connectivity. So they're not connecting. See, when you look at trabecular bone, which I could find y'all a picture. I know y'all usually have slides for y'all, man, but let me show you. Oh, this is a great picture right here. Hold on. Hold on, man. Oh, that's a video. Dang. That's a nice picture though. Let's see if I can find. You gonna let me get that? Ooh, that's nice. Hold on, y'all. Of course. Of course. Of course. That's another good picture. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do you. And I guess that's good enough. I don't gotta go crazy. That's a good picture. All right, man. Once again, like and subscribe if y'all feeling the info tonight. I appreciate all y'all for tapping in, man. You know, let's see. All right, so there we go. So that right there is trabecular bone. You see how it's kind of like, what if you made a spider web out of bone material? This is what gives your bone its rigidity as well as its mobility, and it to be able to take on the pressure, the dynamics of movement and weight, and the shifting of weight. So compact bone, which is the shaft of the bone, right? The shaft of the bone, that part is not trabecular bone. It's more compact because it's strong. And usually when you suffer fractures and you break your bones, that's the area, right? But the spongy area usually doesn't, because it is able to absorb the shock a lot better. So what's being said is that this trabecular bone, right? Let me go back to it, right? Um in trabecular bone, fluoride results in an increase in bone volume and trabecular thickness without an increase in trabecular connectivity. All right. So imagine, you see how all of these are connecting with each other like a spider web, right? Imagine if they weren't connecting, though. They would just half made. They would not fitting into one another like that, creating this kind of infinite interwoven calcium collagen webbing. It was unfinished, right? So it is the lack of trabecular connectivity that reduces the bone quality despite the increase in bone mass. So now you don't have um you don't have that same quality structure to be able to absorb the shock and take on the pressures and the weights of movement and day-to-day activity, and this is the many things that fluoride does, unfortunately. um let's see. Okay, so let me talk about this. Yes. All right, so the dielectric constant. Okay, when we talk about magnetism, electricity is really a hybrid. Okay, it's a hybrid of magnetism and dielectricity. It's really magnetism and dielectricity. All right. And the dielectric constant is a constant that pretty much kind of describes the how something is able to store charge in it, the potential of of storing of charge, its ability to be able to deal with current and charge and energy dynamics and things of that nature. So when you're dealing with a dielectric constant, different materials have different dielectric constants. And do you know what has like the highest dielectric constant? what has the ability to deal with current and electrical forces the best? Guess what it is? Water. Hello. Hello. Water, baby. Oh my God. Right on time. Yeah, let me get some of that. Mm, I love you. I need you. I want you in my life. Mm, mm. Talk to your water. You'll turn it on. You'll get it excited and in the mood. And you drink that, you're going to feel it. So, water has a very high dielectric constant, and the dielectric constant of water is 80. All right. Now, distilled water has the highest dielectric constant of all waters. This is why I love using it when making herbs. Now, in drinking it, yeah, you need to add some minerals to it. You know what I'm saying? Some Celtic salt, something like that. Soak some ocean vegetables in there. You know what I mean? Put infuse some herbs in there if you want to. But the reason why distilled water I use distilled water because it has the highest dielectric constant out of all the waters, which means what? Which means it is able to dissolve more properties in it. The solute level is going to increase. The higher the dielectric constant, the more it can dissolve something. That's why water is a universal solvent because it has the highest dielectric constant. All right. So this is why you use water to make soup, right? What is soup? You take all of these plants, you put them in the pot, you boil it up, it starts breaking down. Now you have this soup, which is what? It don't taste like water no more. It tastes like all the components that dissolved in the water. The only reason why it's able to dissolve in the water like that is because what? The high dielectric constant that water contains. So the best soup is going to be made with distilled water. Obviously, the best herbs are going to be made with distilled water. Obviously, because you soak in the herbs, you soak them overnight. It's already infusing, pulling it out. You add heat. Now you're creating even more, right? The dielectric constant is now growing. Now it's able to pull even more properties in. It cools off. You strain it. Now you have this wonderful infusion or decoction that you done made, and you take it in your body and your body's able to take it up. Why is it able to take it up? Because it's water based and the dielectric constant is high. So your body's able to pull all of those electrical properties out of it. All right. Now, what does fluoride do? Wait, before I get there, let me tell you another thing. Remember, we pineal gland, baby. This is how I'm feeling right now. It's open. It's 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 out of this world right now. So the dielectric constant, right, is 80. How about this? The mitochondria in your body makes its own water from cytochrome 4. This is cytochrome 1 right here. All right. Cytochrome 1. This is where your carbohydrates start to get broken down into the mitochondria. This is where the electrons of your carbohydrates go through. NADH, dehydrogenase, is the first enzyme in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. There's 5 complexes, ATP synthase being the 5th one, but the 4th one, cytochrome oxidase, that contains copper inside of it, is responsible for making water, and it does this by reducing hydrogen peroxide through the terminal ending of the electron and the oxygen in the electron transport chain process that occurs in there. Y'all can rewind that part. But just so you know, mitochondria makes water. Mitochondria makes water, and the water that mitochondria makes is structured water. It's the highest form of water. You can't get this water nowhere externally. The holy water, the best water, that water they be talking about in the Bible, you make it in your mitochondria, in your trillions of cells in your body. That mitochondria, as well as the water that is hit by the sun, because remember, I tell you, the sun hits water and it does what? It starts to create an exclusion zone. It starts to create more negative charge in the water. Water that sits in the sun, sits in infrared light, is going to have way more energy, way more charge from the liberation of the electrons of the coherence domain inherent in it that you can benefit from when you drink it. But what happens when the sun hits water? What happens to the water that your mitochondria make? It doubles. It doubles. It doubles. It doubles the dielectric constant. It turns it to 160, bro. Like your shit goes, you know what I'm saying? So when your mitochondria is working properly, or when this is why I say get in the sun. You're damn near all water. Get your ass in the sun. When you get in the sun, then your water dielectric constant is going to double. What does that mean? That means all of the food you eat and the nutrients you take and the elements that you need are now going to be able to get absorbed in the body that much more efficiently. You're going to have more of a charge. You're going to have more electricity because the dielectric has increased. It doubled. This is why you need sunlight. This is why you need your mitochondria working properly. And this is why you got to be careful with fluoride, because unlike the sun and the mitochondria doubling it, right? The water that's in your body, that 80, right, will get dropped to 40, it'll get dropped to 30 or less because of the fluoride. The fluoride cuts that shit down. Okay, it reduces the dielectric constant of water. Hmm? So, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, man. We got up in here. Medulla oblongata. Nah, this is cerebellum. This is cerebellum, the tree of life, the acacia tree that's on the walls of Kemet. This is what that is. Yeah, so fluoride cuts and reduces the dielectric constant of water. But the sun doubles your dielectric constant of water. Your mitochondria also does that as well when it makes this water. And this is what makes you highly charged and full of life. You understand? So you got to be mindful with the fluoride, because the fluoride are going to do all of these things, you know? And when you look at the history of fluoride, fluoride was used as a war tactic in Russia and in a lot of other places, but of course here, of course in our community, to affect people's thinking, their health, their fertility. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. What is fertility, right? So you got the sperm fertilizing the egg. The egg starts to becomes zygote, unification, right? You got the morula gets formed, blastula, right? Embryo, fetus, and baby starts growing, but it's growing in what? It's growing in amniotic fluid. It's growing in water. So, what happens to that baby when you're having a lot of fluoride and it's growing in water? The dielectric constant of that water is obviously going to be high. The mitochondria is going to increase it. You being in the sun, the black woman having that black strip, that melanin strip going down their belly, right, is to pull more electrons in from the sun and give it to that baby. So that amniotic water is supercharged. But if you're consuming and you're saturated with fluoride, then that fluoride is going to cut the dielectric constant of that water that baby is growing in, and that baby is not going to have the charge that it needs. And remember, the pharmaceutical drugs are contained. Some of the worst ones contain fluoride in them, right? You know, um, what else contains the fluoride in it? The food's got the fluoride in it, the water got the fluoride in it. So you putting all this fluoride in your body, you know. Um, 1 second, 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. My bad. I Yeah, I wanted to find the name of this one drug. Hold on. Yeah. All right. My bad, y'all. But you got to you got to pay attention where all the fluoride's at. You know what I'm saying? The fluoride is in all these places. So, in bringing the child in the world and you dropping the dielectric constant of the water and the amniotic fluid, this is the life of the child. When that water breaks and that baby comes in the world, they coming in here. They are not going to be at 100%. They're going to probably be at 35, 40 or something like that. And then they're going to have a lot of health issues as they grow and they're not going to develop properly because they had to spend all their energy just fighting to stay alive in that womb, and you don't even know that, you know. And it's also in the injections. You know what I'm saying? The Vaselines, they're in there too. They're everywhere. Just start looking and seeing what chemicals contain fluoride in there. You're gonna start seeing that stuff everywhere. You know. But yeah, man, hit the likes. Right now I got a 50% off sale going on at saltionicbotanicals.com. Saltionicbotanicals.com. I'm gonna definitely put it in the descriptions, half off everything right now. We still got that sale going. Like I said, today it is yeah, still Umoja. This is first day of Kwanzaa today. It's about unity. I started this live off talking about the Joe Budden interview. He just interviewed Umar Johnson for the first time on the platform. 5 hours. 5 hours, Joe. It was worth it though. That was a great interview. Great info, great chemistry, entertaining, informative. It was beautiful, man. You know what I'm saying? I love that interview. It was a good interview. Good stuff. Good stuff. Great stuff. Need more of that. Need more of that. And oh yeah, they touched on one of the things that I love that they talked about was the how the the black man and the black woman at each other's throats through these podcasts, and they wouldn't be surprised if the Alphabet Boys was behind it, because a lot of these podcasts, like, bro, they got a million followers, they got millions of followers, you know what I'm saying? And they rose out of nowhere, and the conversation is just, black women are attacking black men at, being bums or small d energy, or they need to be making, the six figures, a year and all that type of stuff. My first date with you needs to be, at least $1,000, and then you got the men, telling them, about their body count and, I'm the prize, and you know what I mean? You're a whore, and you need to be more submissive, and you know, coming at each other's throats, and it's constant. And in the same light, you don't see any cure or remedy being played out on any of these podcasts. Is, we don't see men and women on there loving each other, caring about each other, bigging each other up. It's just a big war. So, it was interesting they put that point out. They were like, we wouldn't be surprised if they're not being funded, by interested parties, in order to continue to manipulate the thought process of the black man and black woman, in the community, and destroy the family dynamic. So as youth comes up, they have a disdain for relations and wanting to have a family at all. So that was a dope one. That was more in the part two element. He got into the ADHD and the schools and how that whole thing works. it was a lot of great points through the whole thing, and it was very fiery. Oh my goodness, it was it was charged up, bro. It was charged up. So big shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson for the great work and the consistency of his message over all these years. You know, he does a lot, man. And big shout out to Joe Budden and his podcast for giving him a platform, or because that's a great platform to be on to reach a certain demographic of people, such as the youth and the hip hop and everybody who think they too cool for school. That was necessary. You know, but yeah, I just wanted to come on here to talk to y'all about fluoride and let you know that yeah, all fluoride is not bad because you're gonna find fluoride salts in a lot of herbs and plants and things like that. In the tissue salts, you got potassium chloride. You know what I mean? You got magnesium sulfate. You got iron phosphate. You got different salts, and fluoride plays one of those salts. You got potassium fluoride. You got a lot of them, and those benefit those work because the fluoride, remember, on its own is this kind of aggressive anion, but when it's combined with certain things, it tempers it, and now it could benefit the body. So you got to be mindful of the source of the fluoride. But in terms of it, in the toothpaste, you know what I mean, chemtrails, byproduct of the industrial plants, um, and in the water supply, no bueno. You know what I mean? You gotta be mindful of that. So, fluoride free toothpaste, eat more tamarind. Tamarind is gonna flush the body of all that excess fluoride that is not good for you. You know what I'm saying? And if you do it with distilled water, distilled water already pulls a lot of things out because it got a high dielectric constant. So you mix that along with that tamarind, that's gonna be something good. So invest in more tamarind, get tamarind paste, get the tamarind fruit. You know what I mean? Just start getting more of it and introduce that in a lot of your foods. You can make sauces out of it. You could do a lot. You know what I mean? Hey, look at there, man. I forgot to tell y'all. I got I got super chat. I'm so used to not ask. I don't ask people for money, bro. I just don't do that. Everybody be like, "Yo, this is my cash app." But you can definitely contribute to the cause. Mr. G, you the first one, dog. I appreciate you. Big shout out to Mr. G. Always supporting your boy. He went ahead and just threw in $100. I appreciate you, bro. I'm probably gonna give it right back to you. Here you go, man. Here you go. But nah, I appreciate your support. Shout out to you, Shay, the first family, Luke, Lil Man. They just celebrated the holidays, having a good time. I love you, bro. Love the family, and all the support and protection, man. But yeah, don't be shy. You know what I mean? You want to be the second and the third super chat. I'll read your question. But let me read this though, because that's part of the super chat. I gotta read it, right? I'm new to this. My brother, I couldn't help but bless your page. This is hands down one of the most incredible experiences I've had. It transcends being just a YouTube show. It's something truly extraordinary. Keep showering us with your blessings, King. That's what I'm talking about, man. I appreciate you, bro. Because I didn't even tell him I was going live. He's gonna get me for that too, because he tells me, "Yo, let me know when you're going live." But I just, I got inspired today. I had to reach out and talk to the people. I had to give this information. I'm always trying to bless y'all with what I can. You know what I mean? So big shout out to Mr. G for that. But yeah, man. Let's see. So yeah, 50% off sales going on right now. Mr. G and I got a dope video. It's an interview. It's kind of different because we kind of interviewing each other. He's interviewing me, and then I'm interviewing him about a couple of things. Usually, last time you saw me with Dr. Moore, and I was interviewing him, but in this one I'm getting interviewed. But we interviewing each other, so that's gonna be tough. You know what I'm saying? Only thing is, hopefully you won't notice me shaking, because when we was filming where we was at, yo, it was cold. then a mug up in there, bro. Yo, Jack Frost was like, I was like, yo, we outside and nobody told us right now. Um, but no, we got a dope video coming. It's gonna be on YouTube. So everybody could check it out. Um, and what else? I'm gonna be at the Wealth and Wellness Conference, Empower 24 in Denver, Colorado, January 15th and 16th. Um, Martin Luther King weekend and holiday, really, because I think that's like a Monday and a Tuesday. And then or a Sunday and a Monday, one or two. And then yeah, I'll be there. I'll be talking about the black sun, biosensors, and the biofield. I'll be doing a workshop there too. And I'll be set up with products as well. So yeah, we're gonna be doing all of that there. So that's in January. Um, yeah, I think that's it coming up real right now that I'm gonna tell you about. I have something else that's about to drop probably right at the top of the month as well. But until it's finished, I'm not gonna say nothing, you know. But yeah. But yeah, I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in and checking out this live. I hope y'all got a better understanding of fluoride. I just want to know, do you still use fluoride or not? Because if so, you might want to know these things. And talked a little bit about the bone, about the brain, about that pineal gland, you know what I'm saying? And then talked about that Dr. Umar interview because that thing was fire. Fire. Yes, you can use Netsuit Nectar if you got contacts, if you got Lasix, don't matter. You can use that Netsuit Nectar. It's good for your eyes in any condition, you know. But yeah, so thank all of y'all for tuning in. I will be back soon enough. This has been another live from yo man, KT the Arch Degree. Peace.